Good morning, students. Welcome you all to the 18th session of the Advanced Financial Management. I am Padmavati Indarki, Assistant Professor of Management from Government First Grade College, Devanahalli. Today, let us discuss under the cost of capital and capital structure unit, the concept weighted average cost of capital. The outcome of this session is to make you able to understand the concept of weighted average cost of capital. Regarding the previous session, I have dealt with the equity share capital, cost of how to calculate the cost of equity share capital. We have seen the cost of equity capital in various approaches. Like we all know that the equity shareholders are the real owners of the company who take the risk of investing in the company, and after paying the cost of debt, that is after paying to the debenture holders and the preference shareholders, equity shareholders are paid. After fulfilling all the commitments, whatever is left, it is paid to the equity shareholders in the form of dividend. So equity shareholders are the real owners of the company who take the risk and who carry the voting rights, who have the right of voting in the matters of the company. So we have seen the various approaches where we have calculated the cost of equity, where dividend price approach we have seen, where we have calculated the cost of equity taking dividend per share divided by net proceeds, and also dividend per share divided by market price. And also we have seen the dividend plus growth approach where we have calculated the cost of equity where dividend divided by net proceeds plus growth. That means if there is a growth in the dividend rate, then we have taken that into consideration to calculate the cost of equity. We have calculated on the basis of earning per share approach. We have taken earning per share. Earning per share we have considered to calculate the cost of equity. So we have seen the various approaches to calculate the cost of equity, and also we have seen the cost, how to calculate the cost of retained earnings, where the cost of retained earnings is same as the cost of equity. In the previous session we had dealt with that. In today's session we will see what is weighted average cost of capital. So to get the funds, company is open to various sources. To fund the project, the company is open to various sources. We have raising funds from equity shareholders in the form of equity, we are raising in the form of preference, we are raising in the form of debentures, that is a loan, and also through issue of various bonds, etc. And also we are making utilize of the retained earnings. So weighted average cost of capital means what? Here in the weighted average cost of capital, we are calculating the cost of capital in a single figure. Means what is the average cost of capital? Here, for example, the debenture might be 10%, equity 15%, preference 14%. Okay, we will be having the cost in various figures, in different figures, depending upon the source of finance. But in weighted average cost of capital, we are arriving at a single figure. We are arriving at a single cost, which states that it is the average cost of capital that we have to incur if we fund this project. So weighted average cost of capital is also known as composite cost. Why we call it as composite cost? Means we are considering all the sources, it's their cost to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. It is the expected average future cost. It is the expected cost of fund over the long run. It is found by weighting the cost of each specific type. We are taking the proportion of each specific type. Means, for example, in 100 rupees, how much we have, if you want 100 rupees for funding the project, how much we are taking from the equity. If we are taking some 30 rupees, that is 30% we are taking. If we are taking debenture 50 rupees means 50% we are taking debenture, and rest of the things from equity means 20%. It should be equal to 100. Weights we are considering here, and then we are multiplying that proportion with the cost of each specific type. If equity is 14%, debenture is 15% cost, then we are multiplying that cost with the proportion that we are getting from assigning the weights to each individual type of capital. Before going to the steps, I just revise how we calculated the cost of each type of capital. That is, in equity, as I already said, we have taken dividend plus growth approach, we have taken earning per share approach, and also another important method, that is capital asset pricing model, is also considered to calculate the cost of equity. In the same way, we have calculated the cost of preference share, that we have taken irredeemable preference shares which are paid at the time of liquidation of the company. And also we have seen redeemable preference shares, where the company is taking back the preference shares after giving after a certain period of time. We have calculated that, how to calculate the cost of preference share. We also seen how to calculate the cost of debentures, that is if it is issued at par, if it is issued at premium, at discount, the cost of redeemable debentures, and also the cost of irredeemable debentures. We have seen how to calculate the cost of each individual source of capital in the previous class. But now in this class, we are saying how to calculate the cost of capital in a single figure, taking consideration of all the sources of capital and arriving at the single cost, which gives the average cost of capital that we are raising. So what are the steps in calculating weighted average cost of capital? First step is we have to consider what are the different options available for us to finance the investment. We have to trace out all the different sources of capital, that is main source are equity, preference, debentures, and also we can make use of our retained earnings, which we have retained without intent to the equity shareholders. So after noting down what are the different sources of capital available for us, that we have to take, and we have to take the total capital cost, that is the total capital from each. We have to take the weight of each source, that is we have to assign the weights depending on taking the proportion. We have to assign the weights and then multiplying the cost of each source by the appropriate weights. After assigning the weights, we have to multiply the cost. Each source is having its own cost. That cost we have to take and multiply with the weights what we have assigned. Next, last step is dividing the total weighted cost by the total weights. Total weighted cost means cost into weights, that is total weighted cost. That total weighted cost we should divide by the total weight, that is equal to 100. These are the steps. In calculating steps are very simple, and weighted average cost of capital is the simplest form of calculating the cost of capital. So what is the formula for weighted average cost of capital? That is the formula in simple we can say weighted average cost of capital is KD into WD. KD means what? It is a cost of debt, into WD is percentage of debt of total capital. What is the percentage of debt in total capital? If total capital is 100, what is the percentage? How much is debt? That we need to multiply with the cost of debt. Plus is KP into WP. KP means what? Cost of preference share. Preference shareholders are the shareholders who carry a preferential right in the getting the dividend and also in claiming on the assets of the company. That preferential cost we need to take, and we should multiply with the percentage of preference share to the total capital. Plus KE. KE means it's a cost of equity, the real owners of the company. That we have to take the cost of equity multiplied with weight, that is percentage of equity in the total capital. What is the portion of equity in the total capital? Last is KR into WR. KR means retained earnings. The earnings which are available with the company, which can be financed for the investments. That cost we need to consider, that it will be more and equal to the equity cost that we need to take, and we need to take what is the percentage of retained earnings in the total capital. So this is the formula for calculating the weighted average cost of capital. We can put it in symbolical form in the next slide, that is weighted average cost of capital is KW, that we denote the weighted average cost of capital KW, that is summation XW divided by summation W. Summation XW means X is cost of specific source of finance. What is the source? What is the cost of specific source of finance? Means if equity is 14%, it's 14. If debt is 10%, it is debt 10. That is cost of specific source of finance multiplied with the weight, that is product of cost and weight, divided by summation W means it is total of weight, that is we take as 100. So this is the formula to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. It is also called as composite cost of capital, where composite means we are considering all the sources of finance. We'll just solve a simple problem based on weighted average cost of capital. The problem goes like this. A firm has the following capital structure and after-tax cost for the different sources of funds used. For the company, the four options are there to raise the fund. One is debt, another is preference, third is equity, and fourth is retained earnings. The amount it can raise is, it won't be 60,000, simple example it is. Debt 12,000 it is raising, preference it is raising 15,000, equity 18,000 and retained earnings 15,000. After tax cost is given. To raise the debt we need to pay 4%. After tax cost it is, we are considering always it's calculated after tax only. Debt is 4%, preference is 8%, equity is 12% and retained earnings is 11%. We need to calculate weighted average cost of capital. So the solution is, in first column, the sources of funds are considered, that is debt, preference, equity and retained earnings, 12,000, 15,000, 18,000 and 15,000. So total is 60,000. After tax cost is already given in the problem, 4, 8, 12 and 11. Proportion is, we need to calculate the weight. How to calculate the weight? That is 12,000 divided by 60,000 into 100, that is 20. 15,000 divided by 15,000 divided by 60,000 into 100, that is 25. 18,000 divided by 60,000 into 100 is 30. 15,000 divided by 60,000 is 25. We have calculated weights and we know the cost. We need to multiply the last column. 4 into 20 is 80. 8 into 25 is 200. 12 into 30 is 360. 11 into 25 is 275. The product is 950. Last step is to calculate the WACC, that is weighted average cost of capital. Summation XW divided by summation W. That is 950 divided by 100 is 9.5%. We have seen the various costs like 4%, 8%, 12%, 11%. On an average, the cost of capital is 9.15%, which is used, this cost is used to evaluate the project. Various projects, and then choosing the project which maximizes the value, which gives more return from this cost of capital that we have to see. Then questions based on this is, a formula to calculate weighted average cost of capital is, KW is equal to summation XW upon summation W. Weighted average cost of capital is also known as, it is composite cost. In weighted average cost of capital, we assign weights to specific costs. We are assigning weights to each specific cost. In weighted average cost of capital, what does WT indicates? WT means D means debt. It is a percentage of debt to total debt. So students, this is about weighted average cost of capital, steps of calculating the weighted average cost of capital, and also the formula to calculate weighted average cost of capital. In next session, we shall solve some more problems based on weighted average cost of capital. Thank you.